Welcome back to the Fishbowl. I hope you have your scuba gear because we are diving deep tonight. Welcome to the Fishbowl with Jade, and thank you for being here. I don't take your presence lightly. Whether you're at home with your favorite beverage, candle lit, comfy socks on, or you're in traffic on your way to work, I'm glad you're here. And let me say this early. If you're driving, keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road. I might say something that hits you, something that makes you want to testify, but friend, stay focused. You can nod, you can say, "That's me," but don't miss your exit trying to agree with me. This conversation will still be here when you arrive. This space is for everyone, men and women, because relationships, patterns, growth, and healing are universal. We all love, we all lose. And if we're honest, we've all had moments where we had to look in the mirror and ask ourselves questions we didn't want to answer. Tonight, we're talking about something that hits deep. You were with someone, and they were everything you didn't want them to be. They wouldn't commit, they wouldn't grow, they wouldn't show up, they wouldn't choose you fully. But now they're doing all of that for someone else. They're married now, consistent now, showing up now, becoming everything you once asked for. And you're left wondering, why not me? That question right there can either break you or wake you up. So let's go deeper. Have you ever loved someone based on who they could be instead of who they consistently showed you they were? Did you fall in love with their potential or their patterns? Because those are two very different things. Psychologically, what happens is something called projection of potential. You weren't just seeing them, you were seeing their possibility. You saw glimpses of who they could become, and your mind filled in the rest. You built a version of them that they never agreed to become. And when they didn't rise to meet that version, it felt like betrayal. But the truth is, they didn't change on you. They were consistent from the beginning. You just chose to believe in who they could be over who they showed you they were. Now let's deal with the part that really bothers people. Why do they become better for someone else? Why do they do everything you asked for? Just not with you. Sometimes it's timing. Sometimes they weren't ready. And readiness has nothing to do with how much they loved you. You can love someone deeply and still not be ready to show up correctly. Sometimes it's consequence. You leaving forced growth. You tolerating enabled stagnation. When you stayed, they didn't have to change. When you left, they had to face themselves, so the next person benefits from the lesson you paid for. But let's not stay focused on them, because the real power is in you. The real question is, how do you keep from experiencing this again? Because if we're honest, for some people, this isn't a one-time experience. It's a pattern. Different person, same outcome. Different face, same frustration. So now we have to shift from asking what's wrong with them to asking what is happening within me that keeps selecting this. Not attracting, selecting. Because attraction can be unconscious, but selection is where your power lives. From a psychological and sociological perspective, we are often drawn to what feels familiar, not what is healthy. Familiarity creates comfort, even when it comes with dysfunction. If inconsistency, emotional unavailability, or having to earn love was part of your experience growing up or in past relationships, your mind may associate those traits with connection. So when you meet someone who reflects that dynamic, it feels like chemistry. But what you're really feeling is recognition. And recognition can keep you stuck in cycles if you're not aware of it. So now we have to ask the bigger question. Why do I keep getting the same outcome? Why do I keep choosing the same type of person in a different body? Because patterns don't just repeat randomly. They repeat until they are recognized and interrupted. And that interruption starts with self-focus, real self-focus. Not surface level, not distractions. I'm talking about understanding your emotional triggers, your attachment style, your boundaries, and your tolerance levels. Because if you don't define your standards, your tolerance will, and your tolerance will keep you in situations your standards would have protected you from. Let's make this real for a moment. Do you recognize red flags early, but dismiss them because you see potential? Do you tell yourself they just need time? Do you believe that if you love them the right way, they will become the person you need? If so, you're not just loving, you're investing in transformation that you are not responsible for. And that will drain you every single time. Growth is a personal decision. You cannot love someone into becoming who they are not ready to be. And here's another layer. Are they really better for someone else, or are they just different, under different expectations? Because people don't magically transform. They adapt. They respond to consequences. They adjust to what is required of them. You don't know what that new relationship demands. You don't know what boundaries are in place. You don't know what they had to confront after losing you. But what we do know is this. Social media will show you perfection, but reality often reveals accountability. And there is a difference. So now we bring it all the way back to you. Why did you accept less while hoping for more? Why did you stay where your needs weren't being met? Why did you believe your love would be enough to change someone? That's not judgment. That's awareness. Because once you understand that, you stop asking, why not me? And you start asking, why did I stay where I wasn't fully chosen? And that is where your power returns. So how do you avoid making this mistake again? You slow down. You observe instead of rushing into connection. You listen to behavior over words. You stop being impressed by potential and start requiring consistency. You build boundaries that protect your peace, not ones that bend to keep someone. You learn to sit with discomfort instead of trying to fix everything immediately. And most importantly, you accept that almost is not enough. Almost will always leave you lacking. Let me leave you with this. What are you overlooking in the beginning that you end up resenting in the end? What feels familiar to you that may not actually be healthy for you? And if they came back today, fully fixed, would you trust it? Or would you remember everything you had to go through to get here? Because healing will change your answer. Growth will raise your standards. And clarity will make you realize this wasn't about you not being enough. You were early. And sometimes being early feels like being overlooked. But it's not. It's being positioned for something that doesn't require you to shrink, wait, or convince. So tonight, instead of asking, why not me? Ask yourself, what did that experience teach me about me? Because that lesson right there is where your next level lives. Thank you for stepping into the fishbowl with Jade, where we don't just talk about relationships, we understand them, we question them, and most importantly, we grow through them. All rights reserved.